Good morning, Breakthrough Academy family. Welcome to Breakthrough Academy. Pardon.
Jordan was just eating something.
What a start.
Before.
I've just eaten an oat slice, and turns out golfing down an oat slice, it's very crummy.
Have some water. Where's your water at?
It's
Goodness.
stuck in your throat.
We're so glad that you guys are here today. Comment if you're already here.
What a start.
What a start. That's how you know it's all real.
Oh, plus I did a chest workout on Wednesday night, I think.
Yeah.
So like 36 hours ago. And my chest is so sore, so every cough is like a burning. So like my body's refusing to cough. I'm like, I've got oat in my throat. I need to get it out. So you've just got to witness that. That was a wonderful start.
Pastor Peter is on his way. You've probably noticed there's only two of you there.
Exactly.
He is. I'm assuming.
I'm
assuming he's on his way.
That's it. We had a meeting this morning. We had a discussion, and we voted him out. We've decided that Academy would be better with just the two of us from now on.
You start, bro.
Exactly. So we've taken over. As you can see, the production level has gone up significantly with the oat slices. But it's so good to be joining you all this morning. But let us know where you're joining us from this morning.
Who's here already? If you're new. And we'd love to know you're here. If you're one of our regulars, please comment. We'd love to know you're here.
Exactly.
I say this often when if I'm starting church. So it's like comment. Please tell me you're here. I love to know that I'm speaking to someone.
Literally, that's
Judith,
good to see you this morning. It's good to have you joining us this morning. Live. It's been pretty decent weather in Melbourne actually. So normally the last few months we've been saying from sunny Melbourne more sarcastically, but it's actually been quite nice the last couple of weeks.
Well, as soon as I said good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Richard from Tocumwal. What's the weather like up there, mate?
It's probably better, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But
also it's inland, so I think it's inland.
At least locally for us this week was raining.
That's true.
But
looking
forward to it.
Was it Wednesday we got the significant weather warning?
There was a significant weather warning?
Yeah.
Hello, Joe.
Good morning, Joe and Sheba. Good to see you.
Hello, Sheba. Glad you're here, Sheba.
I reckon it was on Wednesday. There was a severe weather warning on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because me and my mate were doing like a workout challenge and you have to do one outdoor workout a day.
Yeah.
And we sent it to each other like, I feel like it's probably unsafe if we do it right now. We've been told like severe winds, don't go outside unnecessarily. Probably shouldn't go out for a run if that's the case.
They probably thought we'd be talking about spiritual things.
Oh no, that comes later.
That is not the case whatsoever here. I did see a random. Good morning, Pastor Christine.
Good morning.
I did see a random video of like I think the news, it was on some sort of news thing. And like a gust of wind blew someone onto the road or something.
Wow, that's crazy.
And the car had to stop for them.
Yeah, there was some pretty, I think it was on Wednesday, it was pretty severe at some point.
I had no idea. Apart from that, I didn't even know about it.
Tocumwal is sunny and warm. Richard said we didn't get the rain and stuff you did. Very interesting. You guys got to survive without it.
Mickey and Buddy
are watching. Good morning to Mickey, Buddy, and Shiva, our faithful pets who watch every week.
I know Buddy's behaving. Is Mickey behaving?
No, he's not. It's so good. And now we've got our senior pastor, Pastor Peter Lewis. Welcome, Pastor.
We were just sort of yapping about as we do.
Did you hear the start? I hope you weren't online for the very start. Scoffed, is that the word? Scoffed down an oat slice about a minute before we started. And it turns out that gets stuck in your throat when you try and talk. So I had a coughing fit for the first 30 seconds to begin us out.
No, I heard the discussion of the weather, but not the coughing fit.
Our outdoor swing was blown over, Pastor Christine says meow meow or thank you from Shiva. Good to have you all. It's so good to have you all joining us this morning though. Wherever you're joining us from. If you don't know what Academy is not the weather program here at Breakthrough. It is our.
It's a
time to discuss the weather.
It's a time. No, it's a time when we come together and we have fun. But we are here to learn more about the Bible. We come together to dive deeper into the Bible.
Yeah.
We want to build mountain moving faith. That's why we've got that mountain in the logo there, because we want to move faith that can move. We want to build faith that can move mountains. We're not here just to build theological and theoretical knowledge. We don't want to come away knowing the words of the Bible. We want to come away knowing the power of God. We want to come away knowing the will of God. We want to come away knowing the character and nature of God. So that's what we do. We dive in to find out and see the history, the cultural impact, everything about that in the Bible, so that we can take those studies, take that learning, and we can apply it to every element of the Bible, every element of our own lives here in a 21st century world. Because we believe that the Bible is not just a historical artifact.
Yeah.
The Bible is two things. It is a book. It is a historical book written by countless accounts of many different spacing thousands of years. But it is also God breathed. It is also the living, breathing word of God. It is full of life. It is full of his nature. It is full of his favor. It is full of his love. It is full of his power and his mercy. And that's why we want to dive in and capture that, bring that to life in a 21st century environment by understanding what was written back then.
I always love how it's like from, the very beginning to like right now, a lot of time has gone through. I don't even personally know like the history of it, but so like all the battles and all the things that it had to get to get the Bible in written form or get it into languages to get it to here, and the things that tried to stop it and all that. And it's God's word, it's alive.
Exactly.
His power is in it, and he's got it to us here, and it's really cool. It's just cool.
Because it's like, I remember the first series we ever did at Breakthrough Academy. If you're new here and you'd like to go back and rewatch a series, I encourage you going back on our YouTube channel to the very first series of Breakthrough Academy, where we discovered what is the Bible. We talked about it being a book and it being God breathed, it being in multiple translations, why that is, and how those translations came to be. So we discussed a lot of elements, and we'd go through the history of a Bible, of a verse or something. There was one verse I really liked where you might remember, you taught on it, so I'm hoping you remember the reference. Just to give you an idea of what we do here, and is that they were talking about a man fed he ate like a poisonous plant, basically. Or,
the tares.
The tares.
The parable of the tares.
Parable of the tares. So it's a you tell the exact details, because otherwise you're just going to be having to correct me every time I get it wrong.
Yeah. So that Jesus, the wheat and the tares.
Yeah.
And the problem is that there's no good translation for tares
because nowadays there isn't tares. We don't have that.
Well, yeah. We don't have what they have, but we have something similar, but it doesn't look like wheat.
Yeah.
Whereas
because tares was a
plant that looked
like wheat but was poisonous. So Bibles and Jesus talked about the story of like it looks like the wheat and the tares, and the concept of it being both, and it looking like wheat, and nowadays Bible translators, because we don't have tares, we don't have an exact translation. They really have three options. You can either translate it as just a poisonous plant or poisonous crop, which gets the poisonous element of the tare, but it doesn't get the imitation of the wheat.
Yeah.
You can describe it as poisonous as
an imitation,
but then you don't get the poisonous element of the tares. Or you can try and go into multiple layers and describe it as a poisonous imitation of a wheat, but then it becomes clunky to read and it doesn't flow in the parable style. So it's like translators have had to take that time. But when we dive into that and understand that culture, suddenly those verses can come alive to us as we would go back and look at what they did in different translations and different times. And that's what we do, is we like to go back and look at the history and what was going on when things were happening, so we can best understand the Bible.
And that's a good part. Because I've laid that foundation with these guys, I can refer to things in the Bible and they get it. Do you know what I mean? They say, yep, we understand what's happening here. They don't treat, like we said, the Bible is a book and the Bible is God breathed. If you lose either of those two elements, you start to make mistakes. And one of the things, some people treat it like a spiritual magic book that is just perfect in the King James or whatever translation they're reading, without realizing, no, there's been changes, but not even over the English translation, but even the scribes, when they wrote it down. Do you want guys want an interesting example of this? Okay, let's look at Job chapter 1.
Job chapter 1.
This is sort of
we both forgot our Bibles this morning, so we're both doing fun.
Oh, you'll need something to write. There's lots of stuff to write down today.
Oh no! I put it on the bench last night near the door to make sure I didn't forget it this morning, and then got here and I'm like, oh, where's my Bible?
We're gonna have to put it in our notes.
And then go home and
that might actually suit you better, having it somewhere in. I write in my Bible because I know it's going to be there in 20 years' time.
Yes, that's fair.
That's one of the problems with
Job chapter 1. Did you say?
Yeah, Job 1:1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and so we were not going to speak on the life of Job, except because remember Satan came in the form of a serpent, came to test Eve.
Yeah.
Well, here we have an introduction to Satan, Job was probably referring to one of the very earliest times in the Bible. It was probably referring to a very Genesis sort of level of history, not a late history.
Yeah.
But it sits in the second half of the Old Testament because of what sort of book it is.
Yeah, it's seen to be poetry. Okay, it's right before the Psalms. It's sort of Esther is the last book of the history, and this is actually the first book of the books of poetry.
It's like Job, Psalm, Proverbs.
Yeah, it's a book of wisdom. Okay, it's you got Psalms, you got songs, but you got Proverbs.
It's not a historical telling. It's more about the.
Yeah, it's a historical account, but done in a book of wisdom style, and it refers to Satan. So that's why the crossover with what we're doing. But in doing that, I just came across something which. I'd seen in the past, but I was just reminded of, and it says, it came out when the days of feasting had completed their cycle, Job would send and consecrate them, rising up early in the morning and offering burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, perhaps my son have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus Job did continually. Doesn't seem to be any problems with that. Let's see how all the translations do this. Cursed God. I just want to look at that phrase, God. Cursed God in their hearts. Cursed God. Cursed God. Cursed God. Blaspheme God in their sinned and blasphemed God in their thoughts. That's just trying to curse God. They're all pretty consistent. Curse God. I want to
Turned away from God. Was that one?
Yeah. It's all following that same sort of
Defying God.
Insulting God. Okay, Young's literal. I was wanting to get to literal because the literal they commit to holding fast to what the literal translation.
They're going word for word, not concept for concept.
Yeah, as far as word for word as you can do, and sometimes it makes it very hard to even read because I think there's one. I don't know whether it's Young's, but sometimes they even try and get the order of the Hebrew words the same, which when you're going for language, grammatical, it just becomes really back to front and things like that. But they'll still try and even hold to that. Just try and say.
Is it Mandarin where it's written right to left, not left to right?
Hebrew is written right to left.
Yeah, I'm glad they did it.
I think Mandarin's top to bottom or something.
It's like if it's Hebrew right to left, I'm like, good thing they didn't keep that in Young's literal. Just go backwards along the page.
The Hebrews are all left-handers.
But Young's literal, look what they said. Perhaps my sons have sinned and yet blessed God in their hearts. Blessed God. Every other translation cursed or some sort of derivative of curse.
Yeah.
Why did the Young's literal translation say blessed God in all the days? This is another literal translation. They've gone for curse. I find this literal translation is not quite as literal as the Young's literal. They're like, man, we can't even do that. All right. So so let's have a look at the Greek word for
literal translation.
I can pick it up from here. The word for blessed
or
cursed. Cursed
H1
is barak, and some of you might know what barak means. A verb meaning to bless, kneel, salute, or great. The actual Hebrew. Sorry, it's Hebrew.
Yeah, I was going to say president, isn't it?
I said barak. The Hebrew word is to bless. But everyone has translated it as cursed. All right, and now the very interesting reason for this is because when the scribes were writing it down, and they had to write, perhaps, do you remember the phrase, perhaps my sons have cursed God.
Yeah.
All right, there would be a strong resistance to writing the words cursed and God together.
Really? Yeah, okay. That'd be too scared to
write.
When
they wouldn't want to say the name in vain.
They'd be too scared to actually write that out.
So they use an euphemism, which means, like for instance, we haven't had anyone die in our congregation for the last 50 years. You might not believe that. They've passed on, they've gone to the reward, but no one's
graduated to heaven.
Graduated, but no one's died. All right, because you just don't use some words because you just prefer, you always use other words. And so rather than use the word cursed, so they say, well, all right, blessed, but we'll know that it actually means
wink, wink,
the other one.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Now, this is my interpretation. Sometimes it was like, okay, I don't want to say curse, so I say bless you with a brick.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So, because that's nicer than saying curse you, I say bless you with a brick, which has the same meaning as curse.
Yeah.
All right. So I've used I don't want to say the word curse, so I want to use the word bless,
Yeah.
but I do it in a way that it's actually a curse.
Yeah.
All right, so that's probably what happened here, is that they wrote barak to replace the word curse because that was a more palatable thing that they could write.
Yeah.
But the understanding and the meaning was cursed.
Yeah.
So here you have not the original writers, not the translators. The translators have put it back,
To write.
but the people who are the scribes copying it, the copyists,
Yeah.
say like, no, we don't want to.
We don't want to risk it.
Yeah. So that's a few places in the book of Job
Yeah.
where they talk about, where it should say cursed and actually says blessed.
Because they're too scared to write cursed.
That's the presumption.
Yeah.
All right. And again, because it's like we don't have.
And there's also part where like there's times like that where sometimes you just have to take a step back and be like, it makes a lot more sense for it to say cursed than blessed. And while it is God breathed, it is also a historical book. And it's like if the word was supposed to be cursed, the whole passage makes a lot more sense then, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like what we're trying to do is get the original understanding as the original authors and therefore God intended. That's the aim. All right. And so it's got sometimes go through a lot of filters, and you've got people that put words in, and the concepts get twisted and mixed up. So generally, when you're reading the English Bible, you don't have to do much of that because it's been done for you.
Yeah.
And especially modern translations have fixed up a few of those things that have come through. Okay, I'll give you another example from the book of Genesis. Genesis chapter 1. Okay. So I'm just looking for getting my translations correct. Okay. A lot of stuff. King James was a very influential Bible because it became the Bible for centuries.
Yeah.
And and we sort of looked into that a little bit when we were doing it. But it wasn't the Bible at the times. It was just the latest of a number of revisions that happened, and they actually borrowed a whole lot of stuff from other revisions. And so people that the King James or the Geneva Bible actually did a lot more groundbreaking stuff. And Tyndale was the one that I think 90% of the New Testament is actually Tyndale's translation. So he'd done all the hard work, and they did sort of change it. So anyway, so sometimes they use words and things which have locked into traditional mindsets and thinking. And I was actually just hearing a sermon just overnight. I was listening and looking, and they picked up on this word and got it wrong because of the King James translation. And it says, "And God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it." All right. Do you know what the word replenish means?
It means to refill.
Like restock sort of.
Yeah.
Okay. So the example they used, if I ask you to fill my cup, that's different to saying, "Can you replenish my cup?"
Yeah.
Or
Can you replenish the vending machine? It's almost out of drinks.
Yes. Okay. So
It was full before, and it's being refilled.
Make full again.
make full again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's so the King James replenish gives the inference
That it was already full.
it was already full, and now they are filling it again.
Yeah.
So, if Adam and Eve can't be the first,
Wow.
if you're filling again,
Yeah.
you must have.
Yeah.
How can you be the first to fill?
Yeah.
All right, and so where is the before Adam and Eve replenishing, and so that there is then the concept of a pre-Adamic race of people that had been created and then gone, and now God's starting again, a refreshing, and they get that from Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 and 2, is that there's a gap there. Well, let's just read it because. All right, so I don't want to get bogged down in this, but in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of it. They said, okay, so the theory goes, God would never create anything bad, and if formless and void is bad, And so God must have created something that was good, a pre-Adamic race, and that race then entered into some form of judgment, and they were done. And then so what you have in Genesis verse 2 is the earth was formless and void, and darkness is now a recreation, if you like.
He erased the canvas and restarted.
Yeah, but it started with the canvas.
Yeah.
And so it's replenish, it's formless and void and things. So there's a few steps and logic there. But one of the verses that this is based on
is 128.
128. So the key thing though is to look at the Hebrew for that word. So
We don't need the Hebrew, we've got the King James. Who needs the Hebrew when you got the real Bible?
Okay, so
Why is there 2 numbers there?
because sometimes 2 Hebrew words
Make one word.
make one word.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's literally like, well, I would have put it in 2 words. There's no need to look at you
Okay.
amateurs.
Hey, the word is male.
You heathen.
Hey, look, male. They're also trying to work out what the definition of male is back there.
Oh yeah.
We have the same problem. We have the same problem today. People trying to define what is woman, what is male. Yeah, okay, get it. A verb meaning to fill, to be full, to be complete, to fulfill, to finish, to satisfy. 251 times in the Old Testament, functions both in a spatial and temporal sense. Spatially, the term pictures the act of making that which was empty of a particular content no longer so. So if it's empty, no, we want to make it not empty. We want to fill it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So that's sort of the root word of it. There's no sense of refilling. It's fill. But the word replenish has the English concept of
Yeah.
plenish, or plenish the second time. It's sort of funny because there's no word. We don't say plenish. Replenish or
yeah.
plenish. So let's have just a quick look.
There's
at,
another word like that I was thinking the other day where it's like to read, but you don't do the first one. What is it?
Yeah.
I'll think of it while you're saying this. I probably
Okay, New English translation: fill the earth. New American: be fruitful and fill the earth. ESV: fill the earth. Holman:
Look at all these heretics not putting the right word.
fill the earth. King James: replenish.
That must be the right
Okay,
one.
now here's a big clue. The New King James modernized the King James.
That's why you can't trust the new King James.
Yeah, took the these and the thous out, and occasionally made an adjustment where the English had simply moved on, or was no longer understood, or there was just a glaring problem. But they did not change the Greek basis for it. So that they've the Greek manuscripts they used for this were very
similar.
Well, they were very they were correct for the 1600s,
Yeah.
but very different to the Greek manuscripts that we now have. But New King James stayed with what's called the textus receptus, the received text. That's the Greek text, and all it was here's the version. I'm going to print it. Get it on the printing press, boys, because we've got to get this in. Funny story. Textus receptus. They didn't have the Greek for the last part of Revelation. He could not find the Greek, so he took the Latin, put it back into Greek, and then
Hit it in there.
Use that because it was just we had to. Yeah, there's no good. Here is the New Testament in Greek up to Revelation chapter such. No, that's not going to cut it. So it's like
We're missing the ending.
Yeah, so let's put some
Leave
Greek
it on a
in there.
cliffhanger.
Yeah, textus receptus. So it's like here's the received text. It's done. So it's called textus receptus. But just here's our latest version finished. But it's
For the 1600s.
but it was taken to be here is the final full version that's received of God. You know what I mean? So just don't change it. And so New King James stuck to that. So they haven't gone to the new the later manuscripts. But they every now and again they will change something that has just totally changed its meaning over the last 400 or 500 years.
All I can imagine is them writing it, hand shaking like this as they're trying to...
Yeah, that's not that. But it's interesting.
17 pairs of eyes glaring.
Yeah, New King James, fill the earth.
Yeah.
They just said replenish is not a good
Word.
Now,
Yeah.
sometimes it was a good word. Sometimes English words have so changed their meaning that what the King James wrote was a good translation. It just now means something so totally different.
Yeah.
We get it wrong. So that's one of the problems. So fill the earth, fill the earth, fill the earth. King James being, let's say Young's literal. That'll be
I'm going to guess, like, yeah.
Fill the earth.
Pardon?
Fill the earth.
Yeah.
Youngs.
Yeah. This says listen.
Young's literal, like youthful, literal.
Yeah, because young.
Youthful. I mean,
young.
look at these young people changing the Bible, putting in fill, not replenish.
So there's an example of English translation helping to shape theology and understanding, but based on an incorrect understanding of
That's not like
looking
Christians.
in English. Well, listen, some of the people I greatly admire in terms of for their other Bible doctrine, but just on this, they were brought up in an era where King James was their Bible. So I'm talking about someone who's preached 60 years ago.
Yeah.
So the King James was
the
their
Bible.
text.
Yeah.
So they lent on that, and then they look back at Genesis 1:2, and they said, well, that doesn't really make verses 1 and 2. It doesn't make sense for God to create something that is bad. But again, it's a slight misunderstanding. It doesn't say bad or good.
This is void.
Yeah, and the earth was formless and void. It just meant, literally, my understanding, and I don't want to dive into this, my understanding is like God got a lump of clay,
Put it down.
and it says it's just formless and void.
Yeah.
But it's not bad.
No.
It just hasn't been shaped yet.
Yeah.
Unshaped, unfulfilled.
Yeah.
All right. Now, there is a verse in Jeremiah, I think chapter 4, where it... Okay, let's
Yeah.
look at this.
This is Academy. I like this part of Academy. These are my favourite parts of Academy.
Yeah.
We will get to topic.
Where it seems to refer to...
Let us know in the comments how good is this. I love this part of Academy where we get to stop and like diving into this sort of stuff. But like this gives such a good understanding of the Bible. Like, this is what Academy is about. Okay, so can I jump in before your
Yes, you
Jeremiah
can.
story
I've got
for a minute? On Saturday night, I reckon it was last Saturday night, I was reading in Matthew 11. I was reading about Matthew 11, 28 to 30. Come to me, like going from the verse like 27, all things have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Come to me, all who are labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. That's one of my favorite Bible verses. I think it might have been the verse of the day on the Bible app.
Bible app.
What's it called? The Bible app.
Well, I should know it.
The
You
version. The
Look at me, being the one that tells you what
the Live Church Bible app U version. It's really
the Bible app?
incredible app. I highly recommend it if you don't have it already. But I was reading it, and it's one of those verses where it's a verse I love because Dad, our pastor, has broken it down in church before, and I understand what it means to that your yoke, take my yoke upon you, because reality is I've squat all idea what a yoke is, and it's like when I read yoke, I still read it as like, even though I know it's the different spelling, I think it's the different spelling. I read it as the egg yolk. Like
I actually had someone after that sermon came to me, they were visiting us, and they said, first time today I realised that's not an egg yolk.
That's
Take my egg yolk.
I was the same.
It never made sense, but they didn't know there was any other type of yolk.
Until you preached, that's how I read it, and I was just
That's
like,
so funny.
I'm going to guess there's a different yolk in the Bible times, but all I know is the egg yolk, So
Jesus
just throwing yolks on people, like that's all I could see. Jesus, they're
Well, the
separating.
yolk's on you, Jay.
Jesus has got the shell, separating the white from the yolk, so just doing that, sends the yolk over. That's all I could ever see that. But I'm like, I understood a bit about a yoke and what it means is like, okay, it was a thing that they used to keep the animals in, like, basically in step with one another. You'd put it on, and basically
the young would learn from
the young would learn from the old.
Well, a yoke was what enabled an oxen to be connected to a cart or a plough or something like that. And sometimes it was because you're getting a single yoke.
Yeah.
So a yoke could just be on one animal.
It takes you and connects you to something.
But if there was two animals, you would have a joint yoke where the two of you together would
And
work.
it basically means that where you go, I'm going to go. It's almost like a three-legged race. We're going, so if you're going left, I guess I'm going left as well, And that was sort of the concept. And back then they would understand it from a more farming culture and things like that. But nowadays, it just made no sense to me. Now, Pastor had explained that concept of a yoke and I began the word yoke. Anytime I read yoke, abide, any word like that, I use the word now in step. I just see get in step with Christ, get in step with Jesus, get in his rhythms, get in his lifestyles, get in his timing, get in his patterns, and this rest will come upon you. So I've always read it like that. But I've always read it from I have an ESV Bible, that's my go-to Bible. I'll read a bit of, sometimes I'll read New American, so I can connect it back to if Dad's been preaching it, NET, like they're the Bibles I normally sit on. And I was just interested. And this came from, I'm like, normally I don't go to the Message Bible because I'm like, I know the Message Bible, they took a lot of liberty. A lot of liberty with their stuff.
Yeah, but I like the Message. I'm
not against it, but I don't use it for my studies. But it was one where I'm like, I was reading through it and they have a thing similar to on Dad's app there in the Bible app, the U version, where you can compare all the different versions of a verse. So I was reading these 3 verses and I was looking, even the NLT, which is normally the one which I would go to, they say, the New Living, which is a very readable, but it still says, take my yoke upon you. And they all said yoke. And I'm like, how would they describe it? And I just had this thought, I'm like, knowing now what the Message Bible is about and having gone back to the historical element, I wonder what the Message reads. And now it's my new favorite translation for it because it reads, instead of ESVs, come to me, all who are labor and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Then reading in the Message, it says, are you tired, worn out, burnt out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you will recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of my grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. I love that concept. Take the unforced rhythms of my grace. Yes. Keep company with me. And I was like, it made it come so alive to me. But that came back from academy teaching where it's like, okay, I know what the NET is. I know what the Message is. I know what jobs they're each doing. Now that I can tie all these things together, the verses come alive to me in a new way. But that comes from academy understanding the culture and the historical impact of it. So I thought that was such a good. I thought it was such a great moment of why we do this.
And I appreciate that, Jay. And that's the reason I'm doing this. Yeah. To give you the tools. Not that so you go, I can win an argument, but so that faith, can you hear the faith that's come alive? That Jay is like, this awakened me to God, this concept became alive in me, I saw it, faith was released. That's what we want. We want to be able to use the tools and the things, the Word of God, in a way that the Holy Spirit can make come alive, but not mishandle it, but also not be fearful of it, or I don't know how to do this, or treat the NET as if it's just a different version of the Message. No, I understand both their purpose and their reason, and I can use that on purpose. In the same way as, if I'm in a garage and I know I've got a job to do, and I have a chisel, but I also have a cold chisel. And you think, what's the difference?
Well, band, isn't it?
Yeah, cold chisel. Yeah, cold chisel band. Cold chisel is I'd use to split concrete. A chisel I'd use to shave some wood. But they're both called a chisel, but they're very different in their application. But if I've got both, I can use them at just the right time. I'm not going to explain anymore because people are, now we have to talk about
what's a chisel.
What's a chisel? So
what's a garage?
What did Young's literal translate chisel as?
All right, Jeremiah 4:23 is I should look at this in New American because that'll help make it a bit clearer. I looked on the earth and behold, it was formless and void, and to the heavens and they had no light. What does that remind you of?
Genesis
1:2. Yeah. The earth formless and void, heavens no light. So, if you just take that verse, you say, this is talking about the creation experience. Yeah. All right. Bigger picture, you step back. This is Jeremiah prophesying about the future of Israel.
Yeah.
So how does this work? And he's purposely using the phrases formless and void and using heavens and no light to say your sin is taking you backwards. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of a garden blossoming, we're going backwards.
Yeah.
In fact, back so far it's like before creation even started. All right. So I'm purposely using creation language to show how far far you're going to go. But if you read it, it's not talking about that time. It's poetically using that concept to say, you're taking this land backwards.
Yeah.
You're taking this thing backwards.
The New American, sorry, not the New American, the New English translation, it says an empty wasteland. Even so, it's like you've gone back, and then it's like worse even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to know what the message says here. Look at the message Bible. yeah, I hadn't looked at this. So like, I looked at the earth. It was back to pre-Genesis chaos and emptiness. I looked at the sky. Sky is not a star to be seen. So he's we've gone back to this. All right. Yeah. So that's interpretive message of Bible.
But it's taking what he was talking about and using.
Yeah, and to what a Jew would understand.
Yeah.
And would be a So he's using language and phrases that mean you instead of building, you've gone backwards. All right. So
it'd be like this is from the movie Remember the Titans, which is a movie all about like in the 1950s or 60s when it was the first time schools were making black and white students playing sport together, and there was a lot of racial issues and stuff. And in the movie, because they're in Virginia, the coach takes them to the tombs of the battles of Gettysburg, and it's like, hey, look at this, and he's like, this war has already been fought. Why are we still fighting it? It's like he wasn't saying we're doing the same thing. He wasn't saying it's the same. He was saying this concept of what you're fighting in racism was already fought here. Why have we stepped back to this time?
Yeah,
why are we going back to this? And that would be the same concept to them. It's like, why have we gone back to this time slot?
Yeah, a good modern equivalent. Yeah. But this verse has been picked up to say, here's a vision and a picture of those times, and it talks about there was land and there was stuff going backwards. So it's like, okay, put that together with replenish, put that together with the concept of formless and void means bad. And I start to say, this is making a new picture for me. But none of those things. Replenish has actually got nothing to do with that. So you can actually scratch that off. It just means fill. God was not talking about refill. He was talking about fill.
Yeah.
Fill. Formless and void doesn't have to be a bad thing. It just is a...
empty.
Yeah, just...
Do you know the word empty you can spell every letter you take away? Empty, if you take away the E, it's empty. Take away the P, it's empty. Take away the Y, it's empty. Then take away the empty, and it's empty.
Yeah.
Just a little fun thing about the word empty.
I did see that the other day, and I thought that was very clever.
I like that video.
Well done, Jay.
Thank you. This is what I bring to Academy. This is what I bring to things.
That's good.
My
Funny, it's all right.
my trade teacher, when they had gas bottles that had been empty, he just wrote MT on it. Empty. Gas bottles with chalk. MT. It's an empty.
Empty.
Yeah. So he's like, it's empty. And all the 8 students are, huh? What's MT?
It's like when you realise that in the abbreviation of New South Wales, NSW takes longer to say because W is got more syllables than Wales. It's like It's like it's the same number of syllables to say NSW as New South Wales. So I'm like, why are we typing?
Why we do the word abbreviate is really long. Abbreviation.
What's is it the
monosyllabic?
Abaphobia is is like a fear of words that that are a mirror of themselves, and it's the mirror of the word phobia. So it's like anyone who's got that phobia can't say what the phobia they've got.
All right. Answers in
I'm pretty sure that's true.
The creation ministries, they refer to this word as in Genesis 1:2 as being unformed and unfilled. All right, so not bad.
Who said that?
Creation ministries.
Okay.
When they so they said the Hebrew word means unformed,
empty
unfilled.
Canvas.
Yep, empty canvas, blank canvas, ready to go. All right, so
unformed clay.
That's really so. If you sort of put that concept in, there is no need for it's not bad. It's just good, but not.
It's in the process.
Yeah. Like God did this on the first day. It was good. Now, there's no animals, there's no plants, there's no.
It wasn't done yet.
but it's still good. Every stage, it's just good. All right. Now, the fact that he didn't say created the heavens, earth, it was formless and void, but it was good. It just God, that could have saved a little bit of issue. But by connecting these things together, errors get brought in. All right. So anyway, so there's a few more we could do. Well, there's another one, but I think you got the picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These are concepts that by doing good translation processes helps us to solve some of these things.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean? And not get caught up in.
They've done the work for us that we don't have to.
Yeah.
And that's
keep going back.
And that's why it's good to you take the time to
actually keep
learn
going forward.
learn these things. You learn the concepts of it and stuff. And there's a point where it's like the Bible is still a living. It's still God breathed, and it's like that's the thing I think I have to keep reminding myself. It's like there's verses where I'm like, oh, even though it reads like this, actually maybe technically to their people, that's not what God was meaning, so I don't want to take it that way. I'm like, no, it's still God breathed. God can still breathe life into a verse in a way that was different to how they, I think it's Acts 2:27 or something like that in Peter's message after the day of Pentecost.
Yeah.
And he's speaking about, he's like, therefore, he's like, I'll gladly rejoice, for my body rests in hope. And I remember, I think it's an awesome concept, my body rests in hope. And I've used that verse. Then I went back and looked at the concept of it, and it was actually referring to something David had written in the Psalms, which was talking about dying but not being in the grave. And then actually that was him prophesying about Jesus, because Jesus was, Jesus rose again. So it wasn't talking about that concept. It was saying my body rests. It was talking more about,
not sleep.
It wasn't sleep. It was talking about death. But I'm like, and I remember being like, oh, does that mean I shouldn't use that verse? I'm like, no. God still brought that alive to me. There's still that the concept of that verse is still true. And there's still plenty of other verses in the Bible where that concept brings it to life, is real. So it's like, it's true, but I just like that phrasing. So I use that phrase,
That's right. Yeah. Sometimes I get the right truth, but just using the wrong verse.
Yeah, exactly.
There's still, thank God that still works.
He's good
Now,
like that.
now the problem is if you get the wrong meaning, and then you think, there'll be plenty of other verses. When you actually check it out, they don't actually match up.
Yeah.
So this one's like that. You can sort of say, I'll give you a list of scriptures.
Yeah.
Here they are, 1, 2, 3. But when you actually undo each of them, not quite right. Like Jeremiah 4, that's a prophecy about us going backwards. That's not talking about actual literal verse 2.
Half the times they're referring to the same verse and stuff like that.
And no, that's actually just to fill. It was no good. And they'll show you verses where God never creates anything that's bad, and it's like, I agree with that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not. But it doesn't actually. I'm not saying that's not necessary. Just because it's formless and void doesn't mean it's void. It's bad. It's just it's unfilled yet. It's at the starting point. Okay, so so that's why you can get revelation and you can handle these things well, and you can sort of and be confident with these things and do that. All right, so we are in Genesis 3. Not Genesis 7. 3. Try again. Okay, and we talk about the serpent was more crafty than the beasts of the field which the Lord God had made, and he said to the woman, even though it's like, how does a serpent speak? It's how to communicate. And indeed, has God said, you shall. So we come to this point where the devil, who we don't know about yet from the book of Genesis.
Yeah.
But the people reading this knew. You have to understand that. It was written. It was not written to people that didn't understand that there was opposition to God or anything like that. So even though it was like, we don't know what it's talking about. Sometimes it was like, okay, you'll understand later.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I don't need to explain.
Yeah.
All right. So there is a little bit of that. So God sort of like, he's not writing a textbook that's got to be everything and footnotes and all the rest. It's like, this is what you need to know for now, and you will understand this more.
I noticed one of the most interesting things they said when you're writing non-fiction, and particularly if you're writing historical non-fiction, is figuring out and being very consistent with what your expectation for your reader's prior understanding is. It's like, okay, if I'm going to write something about an NBA finals, am I writing to someone who knows what the sport is but doesn't know what those finals is? Someone who watched them but doesn't know the players? Like, am I not writing to someone who doesn't even know what the sport is? Because it changes how much you describe and what you say. So it's a bit like that. You have to remember, okay, who was it written to? What was their prior understanding? What was the expectation of these people?
It's with that thought. It's interesting with like Jesus. You know, he knew obviously who he was, what he came to do, and you know, even for us, and he died for us, and he prayed for us. But still, you know, while he was there on earth, he would use examples and things about the day.
Yeah.
He wouldn't go, I better say some things so that we could understand it.
Yeah.
He still spoke to
He spoke to
time.
them. Yeah. And sometimes they listened and went, huh? When the Son of Man is what? He's not going to die. It sounds like he's going to die. That's dumb talk. I better fix him up, says Peter.
Yeah.
And all the others say, go ahead.
Peter knew.
Yeah, go Peter. Go
Gutsiest decision of all time. Better go correct God. I say that like I haven't tried in the past.
So, indeed, has God said, you shall not eat from the tree of the garden? So, well, I was thinking, but I'm not going to do it now because I just feel not to. At one point, we're going to stop and we're going to say, who is this serpent? All right. What does the Bible say about the devil, the Satan, the Lucifer? You know what?
Mother-in-law.
We're not going to edit that out. But you just the jury will strike that from their memory.
You say it's always good to put a modern equivalent in to understand it sometimes. I'm joking.
So,
also single, I'm safe to say that at the moment.
Yeah.
I just need to make sure it doesn't get clipped for one day in the future.
Because it doesn't say there certain was the devil, but it does talk about in the Book of Revelation, it talks about the ancient serpent, the devil, known as Satan. Talks about those names. And so, you know, where he came from, what his purpose is, our relationship, our connection, you know, with the devil, and what Jesus has done. So we know, I think there's a time when we will do that because you guys need to know. All right, we don't focus on him. We don't give him more attention than he needs, but you do need to know who he is because you're dealing with him. And if you actually look through the book of you know, the Gospels, Genesis, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it's particularly look at Jesus engaging with the devil and his demons, and you know, we're told to resist the devil, submit to God, resist the devil.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to take him on. Paul said in Ephesians, we don't wrestle with flesh and blood, but we wrestle with principalities and powers. So what does all that look like, you know, and how do we do that? Because that gives us here. But we don't need to know all that coming into here, but, you know, and you've got enough, you know, running knowledge to be able to work with that. So let's just look at what he did, and let's take it that this is important, that God is showing something about the nature of the devil and how he's going to work, because this is not just a temptation that affected them. This is a process that is challenging to us. Does it make sense? You know, this is how and why the serpent, we say, well, because it removed the devil personally from this situation, and it meant that they were not even dealing with the devil. The devil. They were dealing with a serpent. You know, a creature they should have under their authority, and they're allowing a creature under their authority now to speak to them and to guide them. So many levels was like, and that's part of what the devil does. He doesn't appear and make it a power challenge. It's a challenge of concepts, if you like, or challenge of thinking, challenge of your if he can get your mind,
he can get you off course or off track.
Yeah, he's a manipulator of thoughts. All right, if he turned up and said, it's between me and God, let's have a battle. Well, he's not going to win that battle. Yeah. So he doesn't appear. It talks in that he appears as an angel of light. Well, let's look at that, because that's probably sort of very relevant to here.
What verse?
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Just
anytime now, Dad. Whenever you're ready.
2 Corinthians 11:14.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Well done, Joshua.
I didn't.
You
like,
did the search on Bible.
I didn't search or anything like that. I just
Okay, and no
You're
one.
like, from memory.
Okay, and no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Okay, and just okay, we'll just touch it a little bit. The name Satan, it's a transliteration. All right, do you know when I say transliteration, it means from one language you've taken a word and you brought it into your language and just said it.
Yeah.
Even though now it doesn't have any
Meaning.
But the word, we just take the word.
Yeah.
like sushi.
Like sushi.
Yeah.
Great example. So sushi means something in Japanese, but to us, it's just the name of that type of food. Right? So we borrowed the word sushi.
Great, now I want sushi.
And Satan is a Hebrew word. All right?
Yep.
And it's not a name. It's a word that means opposer, accuser, adversary. All right? So it's the Hebrew word for adversary. Sometimes in the...
I was going to say, in some Bibles they use the word adversary a lot in like the New Testament. Would that have been the word Satan that they've just translated to adversary? Or
Not if it's adversary, it's probably the Greek word for adversary.
But not the Hebrew word for adversary.
Adversary.
But it might have come from...
But
They're probably
Yeah.
talking
But
about...
they understand that he is the adversary.
They were doing a translation,
Yeah.
and we've then transliterated possibly their translation.
No, they've done a translation into the Greek word for if it says in the New Testament adversary, it's probably they've put the Greek word. But if they put the word Satan,
No, I'm saying like in the Greek when they were saying adversary, they were probably referring back to the Hebrew concept of adversary meaning Satan.
Yes.
They knew it as a translation, and then we've translated that into English instead of just...
and that's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Because they weren't putting the word Satan there.
No.
They were using his concept. So it's right for us to use adversary because that's our concept.
Yeah.
But sometimes they just took the actual person's name, name Satan. And so there's a couple of times in the Hebrew Bible where it refers to Satan, but it's not talking about the prince of the power of the air or whoever, it's talking just about someone who's in opposition.
Yeah.
So they just refer, so if you're in opposition, you're a Satan.
Yeah.
I've met a few people like that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And,
I worked in the childcare. Not only that, I fed them tater tots in the afternoons.
yeah, they were definitely being. So it's a name, but it's from a concept. He's the adversary. He's the answer. So it's sort of, to us it just becomes a title, but every time they saw it, they understood they were saying the adversary, the opposer, the accuser. Do you know what I mean? So
That's one where it's lost its meaning to us because of how we had to translate it.
Yes, it's just because I've translated. This becomes his name, but it doesn't tell me anything about his nature and his character. Whereas to them, it was just the title that referred, and he is the accuser. He is the adversary. Do you know what I
It'd
mean?
be like translating the name, devil, from 101 Dalmatians, Cruella de Vil, which like spelt is
Cruel.
Cruel devil. But if you
took that to another
language and just said it, it would lose all its meaning, just become the character's name.
Yes, it should become Cruella de Vil.
Cruella de Vil, but it's not Cruel Devil, which is what we know it as.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but I'm pointing that out before. No wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Therefore, it's not surprising if his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their deeds. It's his modus operandi. He doesn't just turn up and make it obvious. He disguises himself.
He's a manipulator.
And he'll attack you in order to what? So that he can manipulate you, he can deceive you.
He has to be on your side for sort of, not the adversary.
Yeah.
So it's like not at least same level or some sort of.
So just understand, when the devil is trying to do a job on you, he's not coming as your opponent. He comes as your friend.
Yeah.
All right? And he comes to whisper in your ear to sow seeds of doubt.
Hey, buddy.
Devil right here.
So the serpent, more crafty than any other beast of the field which the Lord God had made, and he said to the woman, as God said, like he obviously knows, but he's using it to plant a thought. You should not eat from any tree of the garden. And she's like, oh, oh, from the fruit of the trees of the garden we may eat, but from the fruit of the tree which is in the middle of the garden, God said, you shall not eat it from, or even touch it, lest you die.
Yeah.
Now, there's no, when the instruction was given in chapter 2, there was no, or touch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She just added that.
Yeah.
And it's pointed out, like, probably meant she didn't really understand it as well and know it clearly as she should. She was like, oh, I haven't really bothered to get the details on that because I don't really care. Don't really know. I can't even touch it. Ooh. And then the serpent's like, okay, let's cut to the chase. You're not going to die.
Yeah.
You won't die. Come on. What a foolish thing to think. And how many times have we been taken off course by that type of enticement? Look, I know what your parents said. I know what the pastor said. I know what the Bible says. I know what the church says. But really, come on, you know, we know better.
Yeah.
But in the internal thought, it'll be like, I know better.
Yeah.
And it'll become like my thought.
Yeah.
God knows that in the day you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. So this was the crux of it. He said, God's holding out on you.
Yeah.
And he knows it. So what he has said to you is actually he's trying to pull one over you and restrict you from what he wants. That's probably the essence of every temptation.
Yeah.
God's holding out on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right? Everything. So
Create a divide.
yeah, and it's like, God's not really for me. God doesn't have my best interest at heart. God's protecting himself. God is lying to me to get me to do something, to behave. But he knows there's something better. He just doesn't want me to get it.
That's why I think genuinely one of the most important things to know, and again, it's like, that's why I love Academy, because we dive into not just the micro level of like, what does this word mean, which we do, and I love that.
Yeah.
But we take the time to find the macro as well. I loved in the Acts series where we would go through a book of the Bible, we'd go through one of the letters from Paul, and we'd look at it from the micro, and then we'd stop and go back and look at the macro, and then we'd get and what it's doing is we'd find out the nature of God. And I think it's genuinely one of the most important things you can understand is the nature of God, because that's how you fight in these moments often, is like you have to understand not just, this is, what is it? I don't want to, what was the phrase I use? I want to believe God. I don't want to concede. I don't want to concede. I want to believe. If you concede, it's a lot easier for the devil to tempt you.
Yeah.
Because if you're conceding, it's saying, I don't really think this is right, but I have no say in the matter. It's saying, conceding is saying, if I had a say in it, we'd do it differently, but I don't have a say. So, I can, at work, I'll concede to my bosses because on it, ultimately it's their neck on the line and it's their decision. So, I'm just being paid to be there and stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just do this, even though I don't agree. Yeah, exactly. I don't agree, but I'll do it because it's your decision and it's your... Yeah. But if I had a say in the matter, I would do it differently. Believing is saying, hey, I want it to become so alive to me that if God wasn't involved, I would still be doing it. Like that when the devil comes, it's like, no, this I'm not doing it because it's God, just because it's God's will. I want it to become my will,
Yeah, it's not good for me to eat the tree. Because God said, God just told me.
And I want it to become so real to me that it's like, I so trust in his nature and I so trust in his word, and I'm so confident in who he is, that if he said something, I'm going to trust him more than myself.
So if I gave you a glass of poison and I said, don't drink that, it's bad for you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't drink it because I told you.
Yeah.
But then if you did some experiments and some studies, you go, wow, that really is bad for me.
Yeah.
All right. And it's like, well, no, do you drink it because I told? Well, he did tell me not to, but I know that it's not right.
Yeah.
Now, this is not in the sense of,
I need my head knowledge to line up with.
Yeah, I need, and this is where it becomes, that
faith.
You've got to trust my character. If I've said it, it's right.
Yeah.
And even if it looks good, I know he would never say that unless it was real.
Yeah.
And so that's true. But like you said, he actually wants you to understand and be in agreement with it, not just like, well, he just said no, he said yes, no,
No,
robot,
exactly.
but actually to embrace it and understand, hey, if my God said no, there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
And I don't know the reason at the moment, but maybe I will in the future.
Yeah.
But I trust him.
Exactly.
And you know what? And then I get to prove that. I get to live it out, and I get to look back and say, wow, look at my life where I trusted him, and it didn't make sense. But look, he had my back. He had it.
Sometimes you can't believe what God said, but you have to believe the God who said it. You have to learn to believe in him, even if it feels like you're conceding in what you do.
Yeah.
You have to do it because you're believing in who has said it. You can concede to what he says, but don't concede to him.
Yeah.
Believe him and act out of faith and obedience
You could be like believing for something, right? And then an opportunity or something comes across, your path, and it's like, oh, that's what I've been believing for, and you see that it's good, but it's actually not a God opportunity, and you're like, I've got to not take that, and I've got to say, actually, because what God has and what He has said is far better.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
so much
I
better.
trust.
And I trust Him, so I'm not going to even consider this or touch this.
And that's the essence of this temptation. It wasn't just about the fruit. It was all about, why would you choose that when I've said not to?
Yeah.
And it's not like, because I'm meant to. No, it's like, you've believed a snake advice, and then I'm in alignment with that snake. You've joined in, and it's not just about the fruit, it's about how you got there. And there's a rebellion, there's a throwing off the shackles, there's a breaking of trust, there's a breaking of relationship in order to do this. So she said, now, it's this tree. So what is this tree? Let's just go back to chapter 2, because it's probably pretty important to understand what this tree is. He said, God commanded the man, saying, from any tree of the garden you may eat freely. How good is God? You can have everything. But from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. From the day that you eat from it, you shall surely die. Then God said, let me make man a helper. All right, verse 7. Okay, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So what does that actually sort of mean? What is a tree of knowledge of good and evil? There's been quite a few different ways to understand that. I'm probably not good at explaining everyone else's understanding.
Is this like the knowledge of like the adversary or what's happened?
It's let's look at this phrase.
To them, it's God and them.
It's the knowledge of good and evil. Let me. Okay, let's look at Genesis 24:50 to see another time where this phrase is used. It's an idiom. Okay.
You're an idiom.
Don't call me. No, I'm not.
What a bunch of idioms.
You're the idiom. So a lot of people don't even know what an idiom is. So that's
what idioms?
Yeah, all those idioms don't know what an idiom is. It means something. It's a little phrase that means something. Knowledge, good and evil. Look at this phrase here in Genesis 24:15. Let's get a little bit of background here because it'll help. Okay.
So I'm not on my phone. I'm trying to look up something based on what you're saying as well.
Genesis 24. The first part of the verse gives us the key. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, the matter comes from Yahweh. In other words, this has been decided by God. God's already spoken to this situation. So, he says, we cannot speak to you bad or good.
Yeah.
All right? God's already decided on this, so it's not for us to weigh the options.
Yeah.
It's not for us to say, is it a good decision, a bad decision? We just suddenly immediately go, no.
Well, God has spoken.
God's spoken, so I'm not going to sit here and debate it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, is it a good decision, a bad decision? I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. God's spoken. So all debate, Do you think it's a good decision? Do you think it's a bad decision?
This matter's closed.
Irrelevant. Yeah, we're not sitting in judgment of this decision.
What's the old comic series from the newspaper about the really short king?
Wizard of Id.
The Wizard of Id is an old comic series. Very funny. And it's about this kingdom called Id back in like medieval times sort of thing. And there's their king is like a tiny 2 foot tall man, and there's but he's this grossly dictator sort of leader of all these people. And then there's a wizard who works. It's very very funny series. And there's one where it's they're voting on a new tax, and his servants area is all in opposition of the tax say nay. As you hear everyone in the kingdom nay. It's all those in favour say aye, and the king's just standing behind him aye. He's the ayes have it. We haven't. It's you see his eyes go this big. The ayes have it. So the king's just standing there that's sort of a bit how it feels. It's we do the vote. Then if God votes, then that outvotes everyone.
Yeah. So the concept being, I'm not even going to look at it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to make a decision on it.
Yeah.
Because God's spoken. It's a.
He likes it out.
Pardon? Hello Lee, welcome, thank you. Yep, this is the hats from the Wahlburgers restaurant in Queensland. You would know because you've been there. Good to have you join us. Welcome to all our Queenslanders. Welcome to the JSMI office.
Welcome everybody. Yeah, welcome to the Queenslanders. Enjoying. We always talk about Weatherston as a Queensland. That's nice up there. So we're just.
You can tell how nice it is here. We're all in long sleeves.
So the New American.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'm hot. It's so hot here, boy.
The matter comes from the Lord, so we cannot speak to you good or bad or good. Look at the New English. Our wishes are of no concern. So New English actually does a translation,
No transliteration.
A thought for thought. ESV, bad or good. Holman, we have no choice in the matter. So the translators are sort of, do we just put the idiom, or is that going to be lost on people?
Yeah.
Bad or good. Living Bible. The Lord has obviously brought you here, so what can we say? So there's nothing we can say.
Yeah.
We have no say in the matter, either yes or no. All right, so that's sort of yes or no, indicating the good or evil. Good news, it's not for us to make a decision. We're not able to speak under the good, bad or good or evil. I wonder what the Amplified says. I think
A lot, probably.
No, we cannot speak bad or good to you.
Wow.
That's just what it is. All right.
Very unamplified.
And we can actually look at the net notes for this, because they did that translation. So the net note says, we are not able to speak to you bad or good. This means that Laban and Bethuel could not say one way or the other what they wanted, for they viewed it as God's will.
Yeah.
So good and so when it says good or bad or good,
It's talking about the will of God.
well, it's talking about weighing things up,
Yeah.
working out whether something is for me or against me, positive or negative.
Judgment, almost.
Making a judgment, making a. It's literally so. They say we can't speak in judgment. We can't say it. We can't judge on this. We're not going to. When God has made the judgment. So the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is the tree of making judgments, making a determination. All right. So God puts a tree. I'll see if there's another reference here. I think there might be another one. Genesis 31:24. Let's see what that says.
You're at Exodus.
Yeah, no.
Just thought I'd let you know.
I knew. As soon as I pressed the button, I could see it. That's not the button I pressed. This is the same sort of concept here. God came to Laban in the dream of the night and said to him, "Be careful that you do not speak to Jacob either good or bad." All right. So again, we've sort of got why good or bad. It's like don't judge him. Don't judge him. Verse 29. It is in my power to do you harm, It is in my power to do you harm, but the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, be careful not to speak either good or bad to Jacob. I could do you harm, but God said, don't touch him, don't judge him.
Yeah.
Just leave that
Isn't it
alone.
nice when God says that?
Yeah.
So in the New England, there's a commentary that says, even if Laban feels he has a legitimate grievance, he's not to prosecute and take legal action against Jacob. Don't touch it. Good about it. So it's a judgment sort of stuff. I'm not going to take judgment. I've got a comment here for Psalms 1:6. I'd be interested to see why I put that. For the Lord knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked will perish.
I wonder how short Psalm 1 is.
Hang on a sec.
Could have been verse 5.
No, but the Lord knows.
The way of the righteous is the good.
Okay, so when it says knows, it's talking about not just
Judgment.
judgment.
Wisdom.
He just doesn't know. I've got information.
Yeah.
I know what is right or wrong.
Yeah.
I can make a judgment.
Yeah.
I can make judgment on
Yeah,
this. I
that's
know.
good.
I know what
That's
is right.
good.
So God knows,
Yeah.
but we're not allowed to know.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's not mindless. Okay, I'm a robot. I am a clone. No, it's God says when it comes to the weightier matters of what is right or wrong and what is good or bad,
It's not up to us.
Yes, he said there are some things that the Creator has established.
It's a bit different, but I remember hearing a sermon called "I Didn't See That Coming" by Pastor Darius Daniels, I think his name was, who was speaking at Elevation, and he was speaking about the children of Israel going through the wilderness and manna and stuff like that, and he was saying there was times where God didn't tell them what the next step was because he's like he knew their faith would not have, if they knew what they were going into, they would have said no, but because they trusted God, they got there, and then God was able to make a path and lead them through. But if they knew where God was taking them, they would have backed out. And it's like God worked with their faith and was able to say, you're not wise enough to know what I'm doing in the hole here. So you may feel like God's leading you into a place of abandonment, but it's like actually God was leading them into the path and exactly where they needed to be. But they couldn't know that at the time because they would have only seen the wilderness, and they wouldn't have gone if they knew what they were setting themselves up for, you know. And it's like it's all like God's like, I know the bigger picture. You wouldn't be able to handle it if you saw it. So I'm just gonna take care of it.
This is not in your jurisdiction. It's not what you need to do. He said, well, how will I know what's right or wrong? God says, trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me. I will hold that, and I will show you, and I'll lead you. Trust me. And,
where's the verse where it's like a man's heart chooses, but the Lord guides his steps? I think in Proverbs 3.
Orders his
steps, and it's if you're watching, you know the verse I'm talking about, where it's like
30.
trust in the Lord with all your heart.
No,
do
not
not lean on your understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him; He will make your path straight.
That's Psalm 3.
37, 23.
Psalm 37,
Yep.
or Proverbs 37, or Psalm.
Psalm 37.
Psalm 37.
Chapter 37, verse 23.
I didn't realize it's the same as verse 4. I didn't realize it's in the same.
I just remembered it as I did a Google search.
Yes, I didn't realize it's in the same as the delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. I didn't know it was the same chapter.
What verse?
23.
23, I think.
37, 23.
The steps of a man are established by the Lord when he delights in his way. I think this is the one. The steps of a man are established by the Lord when he delights in his way.
When he falls, he will not be hurled headlong.
There's another.
Oh, is there another one? Not the one. Still good though.
So, while you're finding
Proverbs 16:9. The heart of a man plans his ways, but the Lord establishes his steps.
Yeah.
So the Lord guides his steps. I think of that verse when I think of the mind of man plans his ways, but the Lord directs his steps. It's like that, you know.
Yeah, that's good.
God will sometimes just give us the step, not the overall plan, because He just gives us the do this, get in step with me, take my yoke, do this thing, and let me. You have a desire in your heart. You know where you're going for. Yeah. God's like, well, do this step, and let me work out the rest. I'm not. You're not to judge the whole thing. You're just to judge this step.
Yeah, there's certain things we just got to trust God to make the right decision, and He cares for us, and He wants the best for us. That's, I think, the ultimate. I think the ultimate thing is I can believe His goodness. Now, some people would sort of say some religions it's like, whether God is good or not, you trust Him because He's God.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I think that's one of the big things about, when we talk about this sort of stuff, I think a Muslim, for instance, would be like, it's irrelevant. He's God.
Yeah.
All right? But
He's sovereign.
you just obey Him whether He's good or bad. He's just, and to weigh that up, I follow you because you're good, almost is like the sin of, I'm trying to is good and evil. No, I do that because He invites me and calls me to see His goodness, to recognize that I can trust His character and nature. He actually tells me I'm a good God. My glory is my goodness, and my goodness demonstrates who I am. I am a good God. I created heaven and the earth. What does it say? I created the heavens and the earth, and each stage it was good. It was good. It was good. So the reflection of what I do with a formless and void thing is I make it good. So that's the lesson that we have learnt from creation is when He does something, it's good.
Do you trust God because of who He is, or because of who He is or what He does? Well, I trust God because of who He is, but because of who He is, I know what He'll do. I'm not trusting because of what He'll do. I'm trusting Him because of who He is, and who He is a provider. Who He is a healer. Who He is a restorer. Who He is a person who frees. Who He is a person who brings mercy. Who He is these things. So I have total confidence in that, but that's not why I'm trusting in Him. I'm trusting in Him because of His nature and His character. But because I know that, I also know what He'll do.
So I'm not sitting in judgment of His character, but I am sitting in awe and revelation and awareness. It's a good thing to go.
That's good. I like that.
And I'm just amazed by it, and I fall in worship and honor to you. What a good God you are. But one of the things that God says, okay, who's gonna be the ultimate person who takes responsibility for your life? Now we've been we take responsibility. I'm the one in charge. Do you know what I mean? If it's gonna be, it's up to me. You know what I mean? I mean, have you ever heard that phrase? If it's going to be, it's up to me.
Yeah.
And there's sort of truth in that. You
it's my life.
You can't sit there and just wait for everyone else to do something for you. You can't just sort of say, okay, well, I'm just a victim of circumstances. There's a point where no, I have to take responsibility. I'm in the book of Timothy. I missed that one, but obviously it was funny.
We just quoted a dumb internet song that sounds like It's My Life, and then just like going back and forth, quoting the line. It's my life.
He said that is my life, and I said, it's now.
I'm not going to live forever.
Anyway.
So funny. So silly. So dumb.
In 1 Timothy 4:16 it says, pay close attention to yourself and to your teaching. Literally say, hey, keep the reins and keep the firm hand on your reins.
What verse was that, sorry?
4:16, 1 Timothy. So it's like, so I understand. I'm all for, not just sort of saying it's everyone else's fault.
Whatever.
I've got. But there's a point where it's in ultimate trust of my life and what is good and what is wrong. I am saying I yield, or I choose not to take that, but I give God that responsibility. He knows best what is right or wrong for me.
Yeah, that's good.
Not me. You know what I mean? Like if someone came to me and said, I think you should eat this food, and I say, no, if I eat that, it disagrees with me.
Yeah.
They say, no, this is really good. I'm like, I know
myself
what is right or wrong for me.
Yeah.
And that's just
I know how my body reacts to coffee.
Yeah.
I know days when I can have coffee and days when I'm like I'm too wide right now to have a coffee.
I know how I'm going to respond. Yeah, I know me. This is I am a good judge. I know the right and wrong. Do you know what I mean? And I know me.
Yeah.
And it's like I am yielding that in terms of not just me, but my philosophy for the whole world, what is good and wrong for the world, for my life, for my family, for my future. I actually say, I'm going to put that in God's hands. You tell me what is right or wrong. You tell me, you make that decision, and I will.
You make that judgment.
And I will yield that judgment. And so God said, hey, I've put you on this earth. It's really good. You're going to multiply. You're going to be flourish. I've said, hey, it's not good for him to be alone. I'm going to make it so there's a partnership here, working together. It's so good. And then the serpent comes along and says, you know what? God's holding off on you because you can make this decision. You could become the one choosing what is right or wrong.
Yep.
You don't have to. That's not God. That's you. He's holding off out on you. And
it's interesting how so much of the same concept of this judgment of what is right and what is wrong. I'm thinking back to what we studied in the book of Acts, which it wasn't the serpent or Satan necessarily in that form, but it was the same lies he was trying to tell them of, actually, you guys know who the church should be. You know what's right or wrong. You know faith and this is only for the Jews. You know it's actually for this. And the whole thing was them fighting people, being like, that's not what we do. That's not the right thing. We know what's right, and we're going to do what's right, regardless of what Jesus said. And it was the same exact battle the devil brought straight back. It wasn't in the same form with the serpent, but he brought that. And sometimes Peter, when he denied knowing get
thee behind me, Satan.
No, not even that, but
knowing Jesus.
No, in Acts when he wouldn't eat with
Lord, I never touch this.
Yeah, exactly. It was the same theory. We know what's right and wrong, and I'm not going to trust what God has said. Because it was just the same fight in a new form.
Exactly, and I think that's what I'm getting at here. This is the same fight we face in everything we do. Are we going to do it God's way, and are we going to trust Him with that way, as opposed to I'm not so sure, and if I have to, but I really don't think this is the right way. And I'm really and that was the battle was who's in charge of good and evil. So let's look at how this plays out. You shall not eat from it or touch it, lest you die. You're not going to die.
Where are we? Genesis 3?
Yeah, Genesis 3:4. You're not going to die. God knows in the day you eat from it, your eyes will be opened. You will be like God, being able to determine what is right and wrong. That's how I say good and evil. If I say you'll be like God, being able to determine what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
That you can determine it. You're just going to be like God. And when the woman saw that the tree was good, what's she just done? She's made the first determination.
Yeah. She's looked.
She's made the judgment.
Hey,
God says don't eat this.
Yeah.
I think it is good to eat. I think it is.
I find it interesting. What is it? Verse 7. Can you drop down there for me?
Yeah.
Then the eyes of both of them were open, and they saw that they were naked. I remember, I always said this as they were made. They became naked and ashamed and stuff. But it's actually they already were, but they weren't judging what was. It's that judgment of what was right or wrong. They weren't looking at themselves through their perspective. They were looking at themselves through God's perspective and who God showed them to be. And suddenly they saw themselves for their own weakness, and they saw themselves for their own inability to maintain themselves, in their own inability to
they
supply. They saw themselves as being reliant on themselves and their own shortcomings for the first time. Whereas before they'd just seen themselves through how God saw them.
I think that's a powerful revelation. I think that's exactly right. Their nakedness came from once they're the ones in charge of right and wrong. They suddenly realise,
this is wrong.
Oh, no.
And we're short. We've fallen short. We can't do this.
And so let's just go back to verse 6. When the woman saw the tree was good for food, it was a delight to the eyes. This is
it's
really
interesting.
Good.
As soon as they've made the judgment, then these things follow after. It was good for food. It was attractive to the eye. And was desirable for making one wise.
They decided good and evil.
After a judgment had been made about it.
So, that is,
so you can look at something and not make a judgment about it. And but because of that relationship connection with God. But if you make a judgment about it, then it actually is good for the eyes.
Yeah, and you can make a really strong business case for it. You can make and you actually see this in the world now. And the world will keep chipping away at things like this, and then it will withdraw because people go, that's really wrong. That's okay. Withdraw. That's okay.
Can't
Withdraw. The chip away. Okay, like artwork that's a little bit edgy. That's a bit edgy. Oh, that's okay. It's just being artistic.
Yeah.
It's being artistic. It's being artistic. And it gets
further and further.
Until they sort of, then you'll see articles how this is actually not just okay, but it's actually good.
Yeah,
it's healthy to be able to explore the full. It's healthy to do this. And I've seen articles come up, and things like adultery is actually good for a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's like, what? That makes sense. Oh, no. Then it'll come out a bit more.
Yeah.
What they're trying to rewrite what is good, but if people suddenly do it, but what they want to do is justify it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is good. It is good that doing this is the right thing. It helps me.
If it's up to us, then there's a temptation there to whatever I want to do. I have to convince myself it's good, because otherwise I'm doing what I know is wrong, and I don't want to do what I know is wrong. So
and it's like,
I have to convince myself this is the right thing to do.
Once you've done it, all these reasons come with it.
Yeah.
And so they both, and she gave it to her husband. So it's interesting. She was convinced, but it never says he was convinced. It says she just gave it to her husband, and he ate. He ate because of the relationship with her.
Yeah.
But he chose that relationship over the relationship with God.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He said, well, she thinks it's good. Well, I'll go with, I think that's a good idea to do. So he's also falling into this. And there's the eyes of both of them were open. And I think that's what you said. Suddenly they realize, they're
aware of their shortcomings.
Yeah. When it's like, I'm not so sure. Now I feel really naked and exposed, and what can I do? And the first thing is, let's try and fix this. Let's try and fix this.
Yeah.
And so they knew they were naked, so they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves loin covering. I picked one thing, just a side thing, is they sewed. Is that the first time they've ever sewed, or were they had they already started being industrious? Were they sewing things? Were they sometimes we think of the Garden of Eden, you just sit there and pluck a mango and say, I just sit. No, but were they industrious? Were they putting fences up, which refers to hedges?
Were they building?
Were they building? Were they planting orchards? Were they caring for animals? Were they had animals and livestock? So did they keep them? Were they sewing things together so they had coverings and stuff like that? All naked doing it, but I'm saying, had they worked out how to do this? But anyway, they work, and when they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and the man and his wife hid themselves. Suddenly it's like, we're fearful, we're exposed, that something's died inside us and we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, God said, where are you? And Adam said, I heard the sound of you in the garden and I was afraid. Fear. This is the first time he is fearful of God.
Yeah.
Because he's become his own right or wrong.
He's become self-aware.
He's become his own God, and he's something like, I'm not. Whereas I was just in this beautiful relationship where God cared. Now I'm me and I'm myself and I'm an island and I'm got to take care, and I'm terribly lacking and I've broken this relationship and I am powerless to fix this relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he says, God said, who told you that you're naked? Have you eaten from the tree which I command you not to eat? And the man said, the woman you gave. not even this woman. Not even my wife. Not
the
even
woman you gave me.
The woman you gave me. It's actually your fault. I would have been fine if you didn't give it to me. Just look straight away. It's like, and we have a natural bend to push off responsibility for things and blame God for it ultimately. It's really your fault. And then the Lord said to the woman, well, what is it you've done? And she goes, that serpent deceived me. And I ate. And the Lord said to the serpent, well, because you've done this, cursed are you more than all the cattle, more than every beast of the field. On your belly you will go, and dust you shall eat. And we talked about this last week, so I won't repeat that. And I'll put enmity between you and the woman, between your seed and her seed. So now that this is a prophetic look at something's going to happen, the seed. It's all about what's going to happen in the future. He'll bruise you on the head, and you shall bruise him on the heel. And it all. But this battle is not their battle.
It's the devil's tactic.
Yeah, it's the constant battle for us to and anywhere the devil can find someone that is wanting to justify making their own decision. He's your best buddy.
Yeah,
he'll come in.
Yeah, that's good.
Whether it's, and you might think, that's for sin. No, he'll do it to make you highly religious.
Yeah.
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 You know what I mean? He'll be, because he knows if he can make you highly religious, ultimately you get proud and you can get very cruel. Religious people get proud and cruel. Look at the Pharisees. And then the Pharisees.
What was it? Chris Allenton said the people that had read the most about Jesus couldn't recognize him when he was 6 feet away from them.
No, and it's like a man's been beaten up. Well, let's cross the other side. I don't want to get dirty with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, you sort of lose humanity, you lose kindness. And that's what you always got to be wary of. Is if you're if what you're getting into is making you less compassionate. Yeah, that's probably a bit of a clue that you're not on the right side. But but I also understand having to make tough decisions. Compassion isn't just
love and nothing.
Love and let everything be acceptable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Father, Bible says that God, the way you know God is your Father and that He loves you is because He disciplines you. Love includes discipline.
Yeah.
But if it's not done with the same compassion, God disciplined us, but at the same time sent His Son to die for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, so we've got to have that sort of balance. But anyway, I just wanted us to...
Yeah, Proverbs 3 verse 12. For the Lord reproves him who He loves, as a father the son in whom He delights.
Yeah.
For the father, I read somewhere, for the Lord corrects him who He loves, as a father does the son in whom He delights.
Yeah. So I wanted us just to pick up the subtlety. If God had... If this was really a battle between two kingdoms.
Yeah.
But it didn't come down to a battle, obviously, between two kingdoms.
No.
It was not like God stood on one side, the devil on the other.
Which side are you going to pick?
It's not equal.
Choose a master. And in doing that, the devil got them to make a choice, which they thought they were lifting themselves up. They were, doing what they needed. And in doing that, they brought themselves into a snare. They brought themselves into shame. They broke relationship with God. The devil gained access to this world through that rebellion. Yeah. And he's referred to as the prince of the power of the air, the prince of this world, the ruler of this world. A number of times he's referred to as by Jesus, the ruler of this world. He's come, the ruler of the world, come to me, Peter, and he wanted to sift you like wheat, but I have done this. You know what I mean? So Satan gained access to something, and there was a level where when he came to tempt Jesus, and you can look at the temptations that he gave to Jesus. In the light of, okay, this is the great temptation of the good and evil. Yeah. What was the subtlety of his trying to tempt Jesus? And you can go and look at that. Go and look at the temptation of the devil. How did he say, okay, if I can get him to fall?
He offered it all.
And with them, I just did one temptation. Didn't need plan B.
Yeah.
Hook, line and sinker for plan A.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With Jesus, plan A, plan B, plan C, and maybe others that are not even mentioned. Yeah. They're the three that are recorded for us. And then it was like, I can't do anything. I can't do this. In fact, I think if you look at Luke chapter 4, here you go, Jay.
Oh no, I'll go after you're done.
Was that for the 40 days? Was he tempted for the 40, or was he just in the wilderness for 40 days?
He's in the It says, Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, returned from Jordan and was led about by the Spirit in the wilderness for 40 days, being tempted by the devil. So there's a sense to it. Was it for 40 days he was being tempted?
Intensive.
And then he ate nothing during that day, and when they ended, he became hungry, and the devil said to him. So it's being tempted could be at that, now we're going to talk about the temptation, or he's under pressure for 40 days. And now he's got the big three. Why don't you just make this become bread?
Yeah.
Why not? Do you know what I mean? Why not?
Yeah.
And listen, can I just say, just because you have the right to something doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. Just because you got the power to do something doesn't.
Just because you got the power, just because it's within your power, or just because you should, and that's why we can even use God's power and guys, don't use it now. I could, but no, don't. Just use meekness, hold back. Don't use it here. And Jesus said, well, because man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that proceeds from the mouth of God is the full translation there. So then the kingdom of the world, in the moment the devil said, I will give you all this domain and its glory, for it's been handed over to me. So the devil says, I've been given all this.
And I can give it to you.
And I'll get it all back to you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus, you will worship the Lord your God, serve him. Now, I think that's really interesting. If you just worship me, it was all about the stuff, but all you have to do is worship.
Yeah.
The key issue is worship.
Yeah.
And what does worship cost? Just a moment on the knee?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a moment on the knee. Just give me your adoration just for a second.
A moment here, a decision back then.
Yeah, just do it. And Jesus said, you will worship the Lord your God and serve him only. And then go and do this. And he even the devil quoted Psalm 91. I said the devil could quote the scripture, but he couldn't bring the Spirit's anointing with it.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
That's right.
It's got to be not just the word, but with the Spirit. And so anyway, you can go and look at these, and it says the devil had, when the devil had finished every temptation. So whether these three or these three plus all the others, it says he departed from him until an opportune time. So it wasn't the end of it either. It was like, this is just the big three that we know about. But he was always trying to undo Jesus, and whereas Adam, one temptation, bang, he's
One
gone.
and done.
Jesus is resisted, and so you can look at that in terms of the same thing is trying to manipulate. See, the devil is coming from side. Well, why don't you just have some bread? What a subtle.
Yeah.
It's not evil. It's not like let's go and sleep with someone, Jesus. Go and
Just
steal
bread.
something. Go and murder something. No, it's go make some bread.
Yeah.
It sounds so. It's the essence behind it. And Jesus is a. I don't think the Father wants it. It doesn't matter. Just you're hungry.
Yeah.
You need it. Just do what you need to do, Jesus.
Yeah.
You determine whether you need bread or not.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's good.
You be the bread maker.
That's good.
You be the bread. And I think, Jay, that's what you talked about in terms of give us this day our daily bread, is talking about this very essence.
Yeah.
That's the revelation you got from that. How this is not just about give me bread. It's about
It's not a prayer of petition. It's a prayer of positioning. It's a prayer of saying, God, whatever I have today, I want to put myself in a spot ready to receive what you're giving to me, and I will rely on what you give me, not what I can get for myself.
Let me go and get bread today.
Yeah.
I make bread because I'm like, power. I can turn stones into bread.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I'm not doing.
Was this before or after the wedding?
Sorry.
Was this before or after the wedding?
The
Where he turned the water to wine.
I would say after. This
after
episode
as well?
before.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he had.
I don't think he did anything before that.
And
begins his ministry. So the next thing he does is he turns water into wine. So it's not that he was lacking the power to turn it into bread. That wasn't the issue.
No, he could have. Yeah.
He did it. He did it the next thing, but he did it when it was within the Father's will.
Yeah, yeah. So the whole thing is this hard attitude and stuff. So it's good to study and go read Luke and Matthew where it talks about these temptations and look through the eyes of. He is resisting the temptation to be the man and do it.
I love
himself
what does he use? He uses God's word to do it. He uses what God's promises. He uses God's commands.
Well, is that not a throwback to? He's not even working out whether it's right or wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
God has said it, so I'll believe
That's
him.
good.
He said, "It's not even up to me whether I want bread or not. This is what God says about the situation.
That's really good.
This is what God says about the situation.
I like
this
that.
is what God says." So even sometimes when we try and fight the devil, if we get into our own fighting mode and try and use our own reason,
No.
we're actually sort of getting on his side anyway.
Yeah.
Our fight is not against flesh and blood, but it's against principalities and spiritual
So good.
darkness. Is like what? How do you fight that? You fight that in the spirit. You don't fight that in the flesh.
And how do you do that? By just yielding and saying, "Well, this is what God says.
Yeah.
This is what God says." And God says, man, you should be really concerned about where this money's going to come from. Well, my God shall supply all my need. Why are you quoting that? Because I'm just telling you, I'm not even going to try and argue with you.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try and convince you. I'm just saying, this is what God says.
Yeah. That's it.
I'm just saying, this is what God says.
Yeah.
And I remember years ago, I went to at a pastor's conference. I heard a preacher, good preacher.
Yep.
And he said something which really, it got under my skin. It got into my psyche. And it made me think, what am I even doing?
Yeah.
What am I even, why? Oh man, it's, I'm just fooling myself.
Yeah.
If I think, and I was like wrestling this thought, and for months, this thought would be sort of constant.
Yeah.
I'd sort of get to the point where I wasn't thinking about it, but if I ever relaxed, It had come into my mind. And I was like, And I went to another pastor's meeting. Pastor's meeting, and I was talking. And while we were worshiping there and ministering to the Lord, I'm like, Lord, why am I wrestling this thing? Why am I not, why am I not dealing it? And he said, well, Jesus answered it with the word.
Yeah.
You're trying to
Reason it. Yeah.
You're trying to have all these dozen reasons.
Yeah.
And I was like, the moment they said that, I was like, oh yeah, I just need to use the moment that God had spoken, that revelation, never bothered me again.
Yeah. How good.
Because I just took the word. It was amazing when I took his word, as opposed to, and that's the problem. I was fighting it, but the enemy's like, fight all you want because you're fighting on our side.
Yeah.
You're making, I'm fighting. I will not dig a hole. I say, okay, well, I'm going to get this shovel.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw dirt at you. I will not dig a hole.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting with holes.
Yeah.
So as long as I've got a shovel, I'm like, he just keeps going, and I'm digging my hole deeper and deeper because I'm using the same spirit that, and I'm trying to make myself. So the fact that I think that's amazing. Jesus said, I'm actually going to quote God's word. I'm not even going to argue with my own words, my own wisdom. Because he could.
Yeah.
Imagine the wisdom he would have. Jesus did
He was full of the Holy Spirit by this point. It wasn't because,
he went to do the Sermon on the Mount. He could come up with good stuff.
Yeah.
He was but he just quoted Old Testament scriptures. And I think that was because it was like totally... I know
what the Father said.
I'm not getting into this.
Yeah.
That's what the Father said. That's what the Father.
That's so
I'm not trying to work out whether it's right or wrong. The Father's determined that.
I love that.
So okay. So that's your challenge is to look at the temptation of Jesus and think about that in terms of what battles you face.
Yeah.
And look at them in light of, shine the spotlight and say, hang on a second, this is a battle for good and evil and me, not this temptation I'm feeling. Not this desire to get this, not the hunger I have for this. Like you said, God, I'm really hungry for bread. And that's a natural hunger. You gave me the hunger. It's a normal thing. This is a God-given desire. My future, my ministry, my calling. That's all God-given.
Yeah.
So I'm quite right to chase after it. And God said, if you're doing it
in my word,
in the right way.
Spirit.
Yeah. So look at all these things and then say, okay, but God, am I trusting you?
I think there's a really that's how good has this been this morning?
So good.
I think this might be my new favorite academy we've ever done. That was so powerful. One thing I wanted to end on because, I'm not sure how much long. I know we'll continue looking at Genesis and we're going to look at Satan and stuff like that. So we'll probably bring this up again. But while we're doing the week talking about the tree, I was thinking this week, and there's a song called Eden by an artist called Ben Hastings, which is a beautiful song, and I've been listening to it this week in light of the Genesis stuff that we've been studying. And it took me back to a video by a YouTube channel called The Bible Project. The Bible Project do really good 5 to 8 minute animated stories of the Bible, and they'll tell you the history of the Bible, they'll tell you concepts of the Bible. It's really cool. I was trying to find the video before. I think I found it. I'll link it in the chat afterwards. They did one talking about salvation and about the history of the Bible, really, and the story of the Bible. And they talked about the fact that the Bible is pillared, and there's this gorgeous poetic symmetry in the Bible of the fact that the two key moments are both surrounding trees of judgment. And it's like the tree of Eden and the tree of Calvary with Jesus. Yeah. And it's like the concept that the tree that God used to restore, what God used to restore was a tree of judgment where God judged what is good and evil, and Jesus stepped in and took that punishment for the tree of judgment. That was what initially set us on the path of sin. And it's such a beautiful symmetry. I love whenever I think about the tree of Eden, thinking about the fact that, there's such a beautiful symmetry to the fact that God took what the devil used to hurt us and actually used a tree to hang Jesus on to judge us and bring that judgment, but ultimately bring us salvation and restoration and grace and mercy. And it was the same concept, a tree of judgment of what is right or wrong, but Jesus stepped in that and took that place on the tree which was set before us. And I just think it's such a beautiful symmetry. Anytime I read, so I encourage you, whenever you're reading about it, I just always read it through that light of how God took what the devil used, the tree, to then turn it into our ultimate restoration.
Yeah.
You know, like that pillared the New Testament and the new church and our new life is through a tree of judgment, but it was by God, Jesus stepping in and doing the right thing. You know, I think it's just there's such a beautiful symmetry that Jesus would do that. You know, they use the two.
Yeah, it is. I think our Bible Project did a whole series on trees.
Yeah.
And we can look at it like, oh, trees are like, from the tree of good knowledge, because there was another tree too, the tree life.
Yeah.
And then when we get to Revelation, it's about trees. Psalm 1 says that we are like a tree planted. Our lives are.
Yeah.
And Jesus said, talk about fruitfulness coming in. So like trees are sort of a concept throughout, and then Jesus died on the tree. The tree that was caused for. Yeah, so it's, apparently it's when you look at it like, oh, it's right. There's so many places where trees pop up. In their thing. So and it's good. Now next week going to be a bit different because we're not going to have this man with us, and he's not going to be watching. I'm not even telling him to go and watch online. He's going to be holidaying, and. So we think that's a really good thing. Jay and I will still be here because some of us have got to do the real work while others are.
That's right.
Just like go for it, enjoy.
So I'm not going to continue. I'm going to do something a little bit different next week because the next things I really want Josh to be here as well as Jay. Because part of what I'm doing here is not just training you. I'm training these two guys, and so I need them to be here. Jay, I'm going to open it up next week. Question time.
Oh yeah, I like that.
You can ask. In this guide,
Jane just have belly buttons.
Well, if maybe I'll send in a question or two.
This is this is where I want the questions to fall. We are training you to use your ministry gifts and callings.
Yes.
What things would help you? What answers would help you better fulfill that?
I like that. That's cool.
All right. What things about the Bible, or what things about decisions, or what things, advice, anything. All right. I'm just going to trust God to give me. I'm going to obviously just lean to my strength in the Bible. But that's why I would say, hey, on this journey, when your aim is to help me, hey, can you help me with this question? Can you help me with this? Thing, or how should I look at this, or can you recommend something from the Bible, or if you're in this same situation, how would you process?
I'm excited for that.
That'll
be fun.
Yeah.
So that's going to be good. So it's a question and answer time with Jay.
He is a very confused boy, and I would even be happy to put in some answers as well, even if I'm holidaying. Right?
Oh, that's going to be really good. I'm excited for that. So that's next Friday. So be here 9 a.m. on YouTube or Facebook or in person if you want to come in. Well, also, I'm going to imagine there would also be space that if people throw questions in the comments, we'll be able to answer those as well.
If you come with some questions,
we'll take some time to do that as
well.
well.
I'll get Jay to filter them, and if he thinks, that'll help.
Yeah, exactly. That works. I like that. So be here next Friday. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us, to Judith, to Pastor Christine, to Lee, the JSMI team, to Joe and Shiva, to Richard, to everyone else who's joined us whose name I can't see here. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be here on Sunday for Retro Sunday. We're going to have a very fun time on Sunday for Retro Sunday. And then be here next Friday as we do that Q&A. But on behalf of myself, Josh, Pastor Peter, the team here, bless you guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.
See ya.